Howdy. Welcome to Does It Whip with Will and Karsten. I'm here with my co-host Will.
Hi, I'm Will, and I'm here with my co-host Karsten.
That's me. And we're gonna today. Before I get into it, let's talk about what this podcast is really. I know we've already sent out a flyer. You've all seen it on Twitter, but basically the gist is that me and Will are going to pick two movies. He'll pick two, I'll pick two, 4 movies total. We're going to put them on Twitter. They're going to be a part of a specific theme. Sometimes it'll be goofy, sometimes it'll be general.
So this week's theme was classic action movies.
Yes. And you guys on Twitter are going to vote for which movie we pick each week. And this week we picked
Raiders of the Lost Ark, the first Indiana Jones movie. It came out in 1981, directed by Steven Spielberg, starring a very young, very attractive Harrison Ford.
Oofta, yeah.
Yeah, Harrison Ford with the chest hair.
Very handsome man, very tan.
Very handsome man.
Nice teeth.
Nice teeth.
Still nice shoulders.
That's also a pro.
Survived what? How many plane crashes at this point?
At least 2, if not 3, in real life.
It's crazy.
What a nuisance. What a scamp. Okay, so the idea is that you guys will be participating with us, that you guys will also watch the movie. This is kind of our first episode, so we still kind of working things out, but in the future we're going to be posting the film.
The podcast, not the film.
No, we're going to be posting the film result.
Oh, the film result.
Yeah.
I thought you meant... Okay.
No. We're going to be posting the film result far enough in advance that you guys will be able to watch it. We're thinking bi-weekly right now, once every 2 weeks.
Yep.
But that could change. We're still deciding. Yeah.
It'll be posted on YouTube, SoundCloud, and hopefully iTunes podcasts.
And I know some people wanted Spotify as well. Probably just going to try and start with YouTube and SoundCloud, but we're working it out.
It's a little difficult to get it on Spotify from what I've researched.
Yeah.
But
we'll figure it out.
We'll get there one day. Yeah.
Okay, so Karsten, let's just dive right into it. What did you like about this movie?
Oh, man. Where to start with this movie? I know you all are probably watching my letterbox every single day.
Everyone's paying attention to Karsten's letterbox.
Everybody's paying attention to my letterbox. And if you are, you know that this is in my top 4 best movies, or my favorite movies of all time. So really, there's a million pros I could go over, but I'll just focus on some of the basics. I'll start with my favorite scenes, really. I really like the car chase scene. My history with the scene is I used to watch this almost all the time. I would used to go out in my backyard and recreate it. I would wear this fedora.
Wow.
Still have it. Still really? Try it on every now and then. Yeah. Maybe I'll make that a Patreon reward. Maybe like $10. I'll send you a monthly pic of me in the fedora.
Just posed in a fedora.
I'll just recreate the scene in my fedora and send it to you. Yeah. But anyways, that's a very good scene to me. We'll dive into a few of the deets later on. I really like the plane scene, which we'll obviously talk about later on. The ending. I like how it is very much suitable for all audiences, this movie. It's somehow it doesn't feel like it's trying to be for kids, but it's also not too
it's very
mature.
Silly.
Yeah, it's very
really
silly. It's a very silly movie. And yeah, I don't know. It's you can't really, I understand not loving it, but I don't know how you could hate this movie, really.
I had seen this before this, but I was definitely under 10 years old, and I didn't remember it very well. One thing I definitely remembered was the ending, the opening of the Covenant.
Oh my God.
The opening of the Ark with the melting, which is now one of my favorite scenes in the movie, but terrified me as
terrifying
a little man.
As a little tiny boy.
Seeing Nazis melt in front of my eyes. So, are you good?
I'm good. Yeah, we can just keep diving into it later. What are your thoughts, Will? What are your favorite parts about this film?
My favorite parts about this film? Thanks for asking.
No problem.
I agree with everything that you said. So this is not a perfect movie for me. I don't think that this is like an untouchable movie. It's not. I think I like this a little less than you.
That's fair.
But I certainly don't hate it. One thing that I love is the soundtrack. Perfect use of soundtrack.
Amazing.
In a lot of the theme is just great to begin with. But, even like I was smiling to myself, even watching the opening scene, just seeing how it was used as like an accent. It was used as like used to intensify mood. Whatever. Everything you're supposed to do with the podcast. Shout out to the OG John Williams.
OG.
Still alive.
JW. Still grinding.
Think maybe that might be the whitest sentence I've ever said. Shout out to the OG score composer.
JW.
Anyway, the score's really good.
JW on the beat, right?
Okay.
Next talking point.
Moving on. One thing I love also about this movie is the kind of blurred line between embracing movie tropes and also inventing them, because this movie, it's very much a classic, obviously, but like so many tropes in this movie it's hard to tell if it's like, oh, this is like such a cliche thing because I've seen it everywhere, or if it's like this movie, it's only cliche because of this movie, if that makes sense. So like, Marion, the woman with the frying pan fighting off the bad guys, or the market fight scene, which I want to give a big shout out to everyone who is just in the background of movies trying to sell fruit.
Just a bunch of innocent people trying to support their families.
Innocent people trying to support their families, and then the white man has to come in with his gun. Also calls to mind I think it was Morocco scene in Inception, where he's just, Leonardo DiCaprio is just rapidly knocking over fruit.
Never seen Inception, can't.
Oh, okay. But like the whole market fight scene, I feel like is a bit of a trope.
Yeah.
Again, either because of or embraced by this movie. The map transition. Very fun fact: this movie was edited in iMovie, so that's where they got. Yeah, no, iMovie Lite for the iPhone, for the iPod Touch. No, but the map transition is like obviously something that's kind of not made fun of, but like, done now.
It's
because
a classic
of this
film thing.
Yeah, it's a very goofy classic film thing. I wrote down diarrhea. Oh, okay. So, fun fact about the scene, speaking of the market scene, where Harrison Ford, the dude, does all of the cool things with his sword, and then Indy just shoots him. I had heard this rumor, and I looked it up to confirm. Straight from the horse's mouth, Harrison Ford told us this. That scene was originally supposed to be like this extended fight scene of like whip versus sword, and it was going to be amazing. But Harrison Ford had diarrhea, so he couldn't be out of his trailer for more than 10 minutes without wanting to poop his pants. I also love the idea of like classic movie scenes being shaped completely by turd.
What are the classic movie scenes? What are you talking about?
I
wonder. Yeah.
I don't know. Probably.
I know there are
everything in Despicable Me 2. Which
classic film.
Classic film.
Criterion Collection.
Despicable Me 2.
Gru.
Girls. All right. Last thing I liked about this movie was the big boy at the end in the plane scene. I just love the plane scene.
Large man.
Man. Hefty torso on that man. Not in a bad way.
Yeah.
Just in a, looks like a barrel. Looks like he should be selling.
What did you say
potions.
His name was?
Carl with a K.
Okay.
I made that up. I don't know if that's true.
I think he looks like an Ernie.
That's our main disagreement about this film, because
that
I don't
is
think
our
he looks
main
anything
thing.
like an Ernie. He looks like he should be selling like used cars in 1920.
Who does he? He looks. I don't know.
Looks
Could
like
be a
an old
Mario.
magician.
What does he look like? Oh man.
Looking around the room as though the answer will be on his walls.
He looks like the Monopoly Man, kind of.
No,
he not at all.
He looks like if the Monopoly Man was made of beef jerky.
He could take down Popeye.
Yes, he could kill Popeye.
He looks like a Popeye villain that would win.
He looks like a Popeye villain that would win. Anyway, I love that man, and also I love Marion, even though she's very weird. She like disappears for a lot of parts of this movie.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the cons. To talk about.
She's treated, I would say, decently as a female character, but not. It's like an 80s action movie where it's like, oh, you almost see her boobs, but
Again, looking at this film in context, this was probably actually like pretty big to see a female character like her in 1981. Yeah, maybe I'm not that caught up on my film history.
I mean, this movie just tanks the Bechdel test. Obviously, not great there, but I don't know. I mean, she's okay. regardless of female representation, she's a strong character. She's a very fun
Definitely
character.
a step in the right direction.
Yeah, not
Sort
the
of.
most regressive thing I've ever seen. We're not. I mean, this is a very low bar to set.
This
of
is
like,
yes.
not totally objectifying.
This is
her.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah. But yeah, no. I mean, I like this movie. It's very silly. Yeah. So do we want to get into things that we don't like now?
Yeah. Before we do that, though, I forgot about one aspect of this film that I love.
Okay.
The villain.
Yes.
I don't know his name. He keeps saying Fräulein.
Yeah.
Greetings, Fräulein.
His voice just sounds like mustard.
There's that one shot in the film where he takes off his hat and he like rubs his hair and you get to see like this man's absurd hairline.
I know. Yeah.
It's so bad. He looks like
Tot. T-O-H-T.
Tot. He looks like
Arnold Ernst Tot.
he is like the aftermath of like a Home Alone movie. Like he got like he was in a Home Alone movie and now he's here.
He's always also like has like a very like sweaty upper lip. Like he always looks damp, but like in a sinister way. Very damp man.
Oh man.
I love him.
He probably eats, I don't know. Just looking at him, he looks like the type of dude that eats a lot of Jello.
Like cold lentil soup.
Yeah.
Jello, yeah.
Yes.
But like in a badass way.
In a really cool way. In a threatening way.
Yeah. Threatening Jello man.
Tot.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into some cons, what we didn't like about this movie.
I'm going to say this right out of the gate. I hate the fact that the rocks are just not heavy at all in this movie.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones takes his two dirty hands and pushes this rock in, I think it was a tomb, like, that was probably took like 5 Egyptian slaves to move. And he's just like, ugh.
It's really kind of embarrassing.
I know it's not supposed to matter, but it matters to me, and it bothers me.
What bothers me, the more that you've talked about this, because you've expressed some serious concern over this aspect of the film, is that, like, if I start thinking about it more, if this were the case, if all blocks were that, like, light, these buildings, these caves, they would just topple over at any gust of wind.
They would topple over onto the thousands of snakes that have apparently been alive for hundreds and hundreds of years. Unless there's a character that we have not seen named, like, James the Snake Boy, who just
provides the snakes.
Who just provides the snakes.
Provides the serpents.
Snakes. Yeah.
Serpent
I don't
James.
understand. Also, the part where he, like gets on top of the ancient, gorgeous, cool-looking statue, and he's like, I'm going to use this to get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it's made of styrofoam.
Right.
I don't know.
That thing is very light, because, like, Marion was, like, hanging onto the tooth, and the tooth cracked like nothing.
Yeah, and then Indiana Jones, like, just
toppled it over. Just kicked it like it's a toy.
It's the chest hair that gives him the confidence.
That then kicked over a bunch of blocks.
Yeah, then kicked over a wall of... Okay, they're underground. He kicked down sandstone with other stone that he just kicked.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's a little annoying.
But that statue, first of all, had to be heavy to kick over the blocks. Then just
there's
so many issues.
The physics of kicking something down that is heavy enough to break through like a foot thick.
Yep.
It's stupid. This is not something that you're supposed to care about in this movie. This is like when people are like, Pacific Rim doesn't really have a plot. That's what I'm doing right now. But
it's funny because like when we initially watched this, I don't think any of us really said anything when that happened. We were just
if you had looked over me, I was making a very bad
I was just kind of silently like, oh, that's a little odd. Yeah, and now it's transitioned into a fun rant.
Yeah, also been just was fuming about this for 3 days. The wooden, rest in peace, the wooden crate industry, because really that's how they just carried everything.
I want to see at least one wooden crate out there. I don't see any of them.
The day I see a wooden crate in the wild, I'm going to wet my pants.
I'm going to be like,
I'll be so happy.
I'll automatically assume the Ark is in there.
Because
I don't know what else is being kept besides maybe the animals from Madagascar.
Yeah.
being shipped
Chris Rock.
as a zebra.
Anyway.
I was about to,
Okay, go ahead for what did you not like? I'm sorry. I was just so mad
okay. What I didn't like, love this movie a lot. Hard to come up with things I don't like, but there are some. Again, I agree with you on that rock thing. The physics in this film are out of control.
Which also, if that's the thing that makes me the most mad about a film,
It's a pretty good movie.
Pretty good movie.
Yeah. So what really got in my craw, I think that's the right phrase.
It might be, but I certainly don't like it.
I think my mom has said it before. The color correction at the beginning of the film is absurd.
So, okay, this was Karsten and I. I'm so glad that I'm on this podcast because I don't know. I'm a communications major. I don't know.
Shouts out communications.
Shouts out to communication majors. I don't know the first thing about movies. Well, that's not true.
That's not true at all.
I know more about movies than most people. But I sat through the beginning of this movie, the first scene of this movie going, oh, the colors are so pretty. And then Karsten and I tried to record this podcast the first time, and he goes, the colors are terrible, especially in the beginning. And I was like, yeah.
There was something, because there's that pressure of like, because we watched it with our friend Paige, Will's girlfriend, and I was worried because this was her first time watching it. And when I watch a movie with someone that I love and it's their first time watching it, I have this pressure of like, I hope they're liking it. And it's like there was that first scene, and I was so uncomfortable because I was like, you can't see anything. I don't think she knows what's going on. And I was like, it's because the contrast is out of this world. It's so deep. Like these shadows are way too dark. Not necessarily in the golden idol scene when he's inside.
It's in the jungle, yeah.
The boulder. But yeah, when he's outside in the boulder and you were introduced to Bach. Is that his name? Bach or Block?
Belloc.
Belloc.
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't Bach. Yeah. And you just can't see Indiana Jones' face.
Yeah, he does look a little bit... Now that I'm thinking about it, he does look sort of like a little amorphous brown turd man running through the jungle.
Yeah.
It's pretty... Well...
It's weird.
I don't know.
It could have...
easily impressed.
And he's like, the scene, it's like the most epic moment. Epic moment when he like...
Epic bacon win moment.
Deadpool 2 hit theaters this weekend.
I'm actually going to see that movie. So.
Yeah, I'm going to see it. I'm not that excited, but... Anyways, there's a scene, there's shot when he like grabs the whip on the branch to go into the river to get onto the plane.
Yeah.
He whips. You can't see anything in that shot. I'm like, this man is
looks like a
jumping into the river, and it's just dark.
It was a flip video camera
it was
shot
a
of my cousin James up north. Shout out to Flip Video.
Shout out Flip Video. Shout out cousin James.
Shout out Flip Video. Except for the entire mechanism with which you attached it to the computer because it broke every time.
And then the other one is just the excessive amount of, we've addressed it a little bit, but the plot holes. Like, there was, again, the car chase scene, one of my favorite scenes. And
what's Marion up
at
to?
the end of it, I was like, Marion just shows up
playing Uno with what's the man
Sala.
With Sala. She and Sala just playing Uno.
Yeah. And then there was just the killing of the monkey, which...
Yeah.
Kind of bummed me out, to be honest.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Also, I didn't. Again, feel like we could have used Harrison Ford's chest hair more.
We could have gotten a little bit more shirtless action
more
there.
Of that. Yeah, we didn't really got any shirtless action.
You should talk. Okay, very important part of this that you mentioned while we were watching the movie: sweat stain representation.
Yes. Oh God, thank you. Okay,
something that isn't seen enough.
Yeah, he's so sweaty, and I'm like, thank Christ, because
you don't get to see that.
What?
You don't see that often.
Yeah, you don't see that often, and I like get sweaty walking to the train because the weather gets so humid here.
It's icky.
It's icky. It feels like walking through a hot tub. Granted, I am not fighting anyone. I'm not in Marrakesh, but
point is, you could
feel
it. Yeah, you could feel that sweat.
You could feel that it kind of smelled like
smelled like.
Appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
No one's sweaty in movies anymore.
Sweaty Harrison Ford running around the desert while simultaneously having diarrhea. That's Raiders of the Lost Ark, baby.
Harrison Ford's sweaty diarrhea adventure, filmed on Flip Video, edited in iMovie, directed by Steven Spielberg.
Top 4 in my letterbox right there. Yeah. Well, yeah. Anyway, I think that's about it for my cons, to be honest. It's a fun movie.
It doesn't
have much of a mess. It has a very slight message, I guess. Indy does not change from beginning to the end. Yeah. He doesn't change. If you think about him in that first jungle scene and him at the end, he has a little bit more respect for Marion and women, I think. That's not
because
implied.
He interacted with one
because
woman
he
in the entire movie.
Yeah. Well, that's all I can come up with. I really can't figure out anything else.
It could just be a fun movie.
I know. I'm just saying, you like some of the best movies, like the main character, dude. Indiana Jones doesn't change at all from the first scene of Raiders of the Lost Ark to the last scene of The Last Crusade. Just no change.
And the only change in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is he gets old.
Yeah.
Didn't that movie end with like an
aliens?
alien?
Yeah, it was aliens. Bad. It was so. Thinking back, like after watching Raiders of the Lost Ark, that sucks.
He's just crawling around.
I talked about this in my sequel video about how it's just it's not necessary. It's not a necessary movie.
Video. I'm sorry.
You didn't watch it?
No, sorry.
Fuck, man.
Sorry?
My mom watched it even.
Your mom did?
Nah, she didn't watch it.
What a worse. Okay.
Anyway,
oof.
We're gonna get into some discussion.
I'll edit that out.
We're gonna get into some discussion. We both brought like one piece of discussion to discuss.
Yeah.
I guess we can start with mine. I know you don't disagree with this, but I want to bring up my points. I think this is the best action movie ever made.
No.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So
no.
My points are that in terms of when looking at the action in this movie, there is not a single dull. There's not. It might be a little bit slow, given its time period, but there's not really a single like dull moment of action. Yeah. The other parts of it, sure. The beginning. Totally slow.
Except for the part where they're like, I was just going to say, except for the part where they're like sitting in University of Chicago.
Yes.
Just like...
The thing about that though, is that with that came like a great payoff. Like the pacing somehow worked because by doing that, the actual like action that happened felt very necessary and satisfying. Because I don't think if it was just nonstop action, some of those scenes would not be as so rewarding as they would be.
I think you're giving that scene too much credit. It's just basic exposition. Yeah, it's just basic exposition.
They had to have some sort of exposition.
Yeah, but
and I feel like I don't know. I would not have wanted it to happen any other way because I needed that. I need like a solid like a separation from the action and the normal world to show that like this is exciting even in their world. Because when it's like, yeah, I don't know.
I get that, but I don't know. I definitely don't feel like it's the best. I think that's a huge claim.
I know it is.
And I mean, for me, it's probably Fury Road.
That's fair. A lot of people say Fury Road.
A lot of people say Fury Road, and they're right.
Or Die Hard.
I have never seen Die Hard.
Seven Samurai.
You only just watched Seven Samurai.
I know. I'm not saying I think it's the best action movie. I'm just saying I've read a lot of things that say it's the best action movie ever made.
I don't know. I think that's I understand when you're making that argument. I don't agree.
Okay.
And this also bleeds into what I wanted to talk about, which is how interesting it is to watch it and see how different the action scenes are from action scenes now. Like, the first bar scene, especially, well, now that there's another one, the bar scene, is a very good example of this because the action is very slow. Like, not in a bad way, but when you compare it to, like, the editing is not, like, they're not relying on cuts or anything to speed up motion. They're just sort of showing it, like, punches are not lightning fast. You see him kind of wind up and stumble sometimes. Right. There was no soundtrack. It just sort of, but I mean, I think that's somewhat of a compliment because it's still engaging. Yeah. You know. Right. Despite all of that. So I think it's not so much a bad thing. It's just interesting to look at, like the pacing of action scenes, and even like, in the car chase scene that you're talking about, he kind of, he'll jump in the car and then he'll just like do a weird wrestling thing with the dude, like just kind of yanking his head back and forth. Yeah. Whereas now, if you see like, and I hate to use the Avengers movies as like an example of action movies because I think that there's a lot of things that happen in Avengers movies that's just how they are in Marvel movies. You know what I mean? But like in those movies, it's all lightning fast. It's all like they're kind of going for like to make you say like, oh my God, kind of thing. But like in this, it's just sort of like it's an action scene, and that's good. It's just it requires some extra processing, I guess. Right,
I agree. It brings up an interesting point that like you don't have to be like Mad Max with the editing
Right. Oh yeah.
to make
No,
it
I'm not saying you
engaging.
do.
Yeah.
I definitely don't think that more is always better. I definitely am not. I hope that
Totally
didn't come
agree,
across
yeah.
that way. I just, it's just interesting to watch, and even like, okay, we're staying. I don't mean to turn this into an episode about Marvel movies, but like, even going back to like, I was watching a scene from the original Iron Man movie.
Fantastic movie.
Fantastic movie. Totally different and gritty.
So different.
Yeah, like his suit is like a tank, and is like he's actually killing people, and
Right.
like it's so like you can hear his suit is going like when he walks around, and like it's heavy, and so I guess what I'm trying to say is when you say it's the best action movie of all time, I think I get what you're trying to say, but I think like good action movies to me sort of represent a middle point between the things I'm talking about, where it's fast, it's either too fast and like too digital and nothing weighs anything and it's so fast and visual and whatever, versus something like this where it's slow but like practical effects are used, they put a lot of care into it, things like that. So I think that action movies that use a middle ground, like Fury Road in my opinion, that's like the sweet spot for me.
That's fair. I still stand by where I stand, but that's
No,
yeah, I understand what you mean now.
Yeah, I think that was a
Yeah.
little long-winded. I'm sorry, but
No, you're good. I do want to bring up something that I meant to bring up earlier.
okay.
Kind of wrapping this up into today's time, because this is Spielberg.
Yes.
Great guy. And he
I
just
know
put out
him.
Ready Player
Just
One,
joking. Okay.
which
I have not seen it.
I hated it.
Karsten hated
I didn't like it at first, and now I just straight up hate it.
Wow.
Just the more I think about it.
Okay.
And I'm like, I've been thinking like what happened, and after watching this, it's like, I talked about this a little bit when we first tried to do this, but like, he used to like take risks with his films. Okay. He used to think outside the box. Like it wasn't so automatic for him. It didn't just look like a movie, like a job. It looked like a piece of art.
It didn't look like a product.
It didn't look like a product. No, it looked like someone who was telling a story through visuals, not something that could be easily translated into a comic book.
Not trying to sell merch.
Not trying to sell merch. No. Yeah, and that's, I don't know. It's just, it was exciting. You could like feel the excitement of like the process in this film, where you can't feel that. And this applies to Marvel movies too, because I just watched this interview, this thing on Iron Man, and the director, that he was talking about the making of it, and he was like, this was back when Marvel was like not where they are now, and he was like, we were making this thing and we didn't know if it was going to be like a hit or not. And I feel like that like made it a lot better.
Yeah, they
like,
gave it heart.
They had like heart in it, and like you could
didn't
tell
have to be a hit.
Yeah, because now they make a movie and they're like, yeah, well, it's gonna be a hit. It's just like, it's what we do with it that makes it different, and it's I don't know.
That's a good point. It's like when you know you're gonna sell tickets,
right?
You're not as motivated to like truly get buck wild with it.
And Mad Max is a good example of that. Mad Max, like you can feel like the heart.
Oh
and,
yeah.
This
that movie is weird as shit.
Yeah,
in a lot of
I like it.
That's a really good point.
When action movies just get weird and take risks, because it's pretty easy to get formulaic with an action movie, in my opinion. From what I've seen, like there are a lot of action movies that look the exact same.
Yeah.
So when they're done right, I think it's like a fantastic film.
One action movie that took a lot of risks: Geostorm. I thought
Hurricane Heist.
I have not seen either of those movies.
Neither have I.
Geostorm, I think probably was pretty.
I'm
pretty confident in saying that.
I don't. Okay. You could just.
Did you watch the trailer for Geostorm?
Yeah, you could just watch the day after tomorrow and watch the same movie.
Yeah. Anyway.
I want to see Rampage. No one wants to see it with me. Anyways.
Yeah, so this is kind of an interesting discussion though, because this is a Lucasfilm movie and this is a post-Star Wars movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think again, it's hard to look at this from a modern perspective, because when you look back at Star Wars, like the original one for its time, it was kind of a pastiche of a lot of things that were already being done. It stole from a lot of things, a lot of like, if you look at like, I don't know if this will land with anyone, but like Jodorowsky's Dune invented a lot of like all of these early sci-fi tropes, and everyone was kind of borrowing from each other. But it probably also took risks, and it's hard to go back to that because Star Wars now is the most safe IP ever.
Yes.
So
very.
So Yes, I would agree that this. I would definitely agree that this movie took risks, and this movie does not feel like a product.
Yeah. All right. So, with that being said, are you ready to answer the question?
Moment of truth.
Will, does it whip?
Yes, I think this movie whips.
All
Karsten,
right.
does it whip?
Most definitely. Yes.
Yeah,
it,
and I
it
think
whips.
also I was a little bit rooting for this movie to win because he has a bullwhip. I think that's so
If this
fun.
movie
Guys,
didn't whip,
it's so much fun.
So much fun. Let's get more bullwhips nowadays in
Can we
films.
get more bullwhip representation. Sweaty men with diarrhea that hold bullwhips.
Yes.
Yes.
Being chased by boulders.
We
boulders. Need more of those.
Yeah. That's probably gonna do it for us.
That's gonna do it for us. We could talk about next week. What we got planned for next week?
Okay. Can I take that?
You can take it.
Okay. So next week, we are going to. So we're gonna try and get this up. We're recording this on Friday. We're probably gonna try and get it up either tonight or tomorrow. We have a very bad habit, I've noticed, of posting and announcing things very late at night because we're up at like 10 and we come up with an idea and we're like, oh, let's get it out there.
Let's get it on Twitter.
No one sees it. So we're gonna actually control it this time. But like I said before, we're gonna start out on YouTube and SoundCloud. We're gonna expand when we can. I know you guys want. Karsten just took a pic of us recording, I believe, to post. I know you guys want. I know it's very frustrating to listen to podcasts on YouTube because you can't do it on your phone.
Don't worry, it'll be on SoundCloud.
Will hold you over.
And it should be able to
get it on iTunes and maybe Spotify. I don't know. Karsten's very
iTunes
about
can
iTunes.
Definitely be put up.
Okay.
Yes, I can do that.
So again, as I said before, the intention is that we're going to announce the theme at the end of every episode and then put up. You'll know the movie hopefully by Wednesday of the next week, and then we will have that uploaded. I don't really know how we're going to do this. I don't know if we're going to end up doing this every week or
bi-weekly.
Start
bi-weekly.
So you're either going to have most likely it'll be you'll have a week and a half to watch the movie, and then the other thing that we want to do that we obviously didn't do in this episode because it's the first one, but we want to have you guys watch this movie with us, and we would love for you guys to submit discussion points or questions or things like that. So, whether that be in the comments on this video on YouTube, whether that be in the SoundCloud comments, whether that be tweeting at Karsten or I, we want to hear things that you want to talk about the movie. So if we announce a movie and you watch it and you're like, hey, I want to hear them talk about this, or hey, I have this. What did you guys think of this?
Hit us up.
Yeah, hit us up.
Just we want to hit my line.
So we want to have that at the end of every podcast. Is have we'll say who's asking the question. We'll feature your comments.
Definitely. So next week, our theme.
I'm so excited about this.
Our theme are movies with blue people in them.
So we've got this is such a menu.
What's our lineup, Will?
Okay, we've got Avatar, James Cameron.
Classic.
Have you seen it?
No.
I have. I saw it in theaters. Megamind, featuring Will Ferrell, I believe.
Another classic.
I know you haven't seen it.
That I have not seen.
I've seen it. I genuinely. What? I can't say that. Okay. Big Fat Liar, which featuring Paul Giamatti and I believe Frankie Muniz. I could be wrong.
Frankie Muniz.
I think it's a Disney.
We should
Channel
try and get him
original.
as a guest on this podcast.
Yeah, we could so swing that. And then okay. So we have Avatar, Megamind, Big Fat Liar, and then Watchmen. Watchmen is a book that I love. I have not seen the movie. I've heard very controversial things about it. It looks very pretty. So I'm excited to watch all of these movies.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
But it is up to you guys as to what we actually do.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for listening. If you made it this far, I'm kind of amazed that we got anyone to the end of this episode on the first try. But
thank you guys so much for listening.
We're very pumped. I'm very pumped about this.
I'm very pumped about this. Look out for as far as other content goes. If you're curious, look out for my 8th grade review posting pretty soon. I also have a video on Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild posting pretty soon, which I'm pretty excited about.
Wow, I didn't know that.
First non-movie essay, I believe, or TV. And yeah, support me on Patreon. If you support me on Patreon, not for this episode, but in the future, you will be getting early access to podcasts as well as all videos, and as well as a few perks, depending on what you pledge. So please check that out. Link will be in the description. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much for listening. We would love for you to participate.
Such a long goodbye. This is such a long goodbye.
This is the one thing I'm most excited about is you guys participating. So please participate if you want to. Send us suggestions if you think that we should be doing anything differently. And yeah.
See you guys in the next one. Smooches.
Smooches.